We're gonna start off there.
Well, as usual, busy. Yeah, busy. I recently, I mean, speaking of YouTube, I've had a YouTube channel for a while where I talk a lot about comics and making comics and things like that. But now I've sort of pivoted into more of a maker channel where I'm actually making projects, and I'm kind of doing something unique where I take vintage novelties and nostalgia from the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, and I kind of reverse engineer it. I look at it, see how it works, try to figure out how this stuff works, and then I recreate it. But when I recreate it, I kind of put my own personal spin on it. I got a new video coming out tomorrow on my channel where I reverse engineer the mail away kryptonite. And I've done like paper masks. There used to be this paper mask that used to get at Denny's, and I created my own version of those paper masks, kind of inspired by those old vintage Denny's masks. I've done the wax pack trading cards, kind of my own version of like grow stickers, like Garbage Pail Kids. I've done 3D art, like with the red and blue 3D glasses. So I'm having a blast doing this stuff, and it's really fun. So that's and I've really upped my production game and everything. So it's quite a production. So I'm pretty happy with it. But I'm putting a lot of time and effort into doing that, in addition to like my comic and other things like that. So
I was gonna say this. What? Like, and from what I remember from Scott, like I've been following you for a very, and I mean very long time. How I remember coming across you was YouTube, and it was back when I first started doing conventions.
Wait, was that before? Were you familiar with my channel before we met at that first con, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
well, I
dude.
guess I don't remember that.
Oh, dude, man. Oh, come on. Like, I was fangirling all over you, man. Like, I was starting off around, what was it, 2012, 2013, and I tabled right across Shelby Robertson. And that dude is colossal. He had the wall of prints. He had everything going for him. And I looked at my little, measly presentation, and I'm like, I need to up my game. And so I would constantly try to elevate myself, and I would go onto YouTube. I would go to the Googles and search on tabling at conventions and whatnot. And I came across your YouTube channel all because tabling at conventions, and it was about I forgot what it was. It was about your cutouts to your back.
Oh, okay.
The piping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I would just eat popcorn and soda and just kick back and watch your stuff. It was so interesting as somebody that's trying to also create. And then you had I don't know. I really enjoyed the videos, man.
Well, I think you took a lot from that, because I mean, even with like the branding, because where I got the lab coat, you've got the red hat and the tie shirt and t-shirt, and so I mean, yeah, I mean, it's all about branding, creating something memorable, something people can when they think of you, that's the guy with the red hat and I also, anyone who's probably around our age or whatever, I know you're also inspired by the Wallace and Ladmo show, which was a kid show that started way back when my dad was young, in the 50s, I think, and it carried on until I think the late 80s. But the characters there, they had the printed bow tie and a necktie shirt too. So yeah, I definitely, I could see a lot of that inspiration where it's coming from.
There was something. Have you met the creator, Benjamin Glendenning? He's a local creator. He Skull Jammers. He was heavily.
That sounds familiar.
He was heavily around early on in the 2000s, and then I'm not too sure what happened after 2010, but I would see him at an event, and he always had this mohawk. He always had a mohawk. And he said something that stuck with me, and he said, the reason why I do the mohawk thing is because that's how people notice me. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the artist that has the mohawk. How many
Yeah.
other artists out there have
Right.
a mohawk? And that stuck with me. So Ben Glendinning, like if you're out there, man, thank you. But where were we going with this? We were talking about
Well, we were talking about
no, we're
cons and
talking about your tabling, man. That the funny thing, let's go back to that. The funny thing about me learning, because it was from you, it was learning from Will Terry, because I remember you would highlight him a few times. His tabling appearance, or well, hold on, what would you call that? It's not appearance. What did you? I'm gonna have to think of another word, but his presentation, there you go, is phenomenal. I loved it, and I remember I just kept on trying to elevate, trying to change things up. There was a point in time. Will Terry has a turnstile display. Do you know what that is? Okay,
yeah.
So he had it on his table. I decided I'm going to go way further than that. I was working at a shutter company and I built these. Seriously, it stood about 8 feet tall. And I had a base that had 4 wheels. And then I'd have to come in with these walls and then I would screw them all together and I'd have this turnstile display. And I would think probably about 4. No, if I'm correct, I think I was able to get 8 11 by 17 prints on each side.
Wow, yeah.
And it was so cool because it was around the time that Fan Fusion, when they did Fan Fusion, they were still doing Phoenix Comic Con, but then they decided, let's do a part 2 and do they called it Fan Fusion at the time. And it was awesome because I could sit there and just, work on some stuff and people would pass by and there wasn't a whole lot of guests, but I would sit there and kind of kick at the display and make it spin. And then people got it and they'd walk up and like, woo, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, anything you can get people to come to your table for that interaction or whatever. So having things that, like you said, if something spins or something like that, if you can get it, if you can get somebody to, there's more here and kind of, so anything like that. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
It just proved to be very cumbersome. There was a point in time I brought it all the way down to Tucson Comic Con in my Scion XP. And there was 2 of these displays, Scott. There wasn't one. There was 2 on each side. And so I don't know how I fit all my products and all that other stuff, but I had to get rid of that display. And to round this all out, what makes this kind of, I guess, ironic is I was watching you for help and assistance. And eventually that came around, I think around 2018. You actually came up to my table and you had me on your
because I would go around and I'd talk to different creators and kind of do a real quick interview type thing on what they were doing on my YouTube channel. Yeah,
exactly. But you had commented on my table and everything, and I think that's really cool how that had kind of turned around, or not really turned around, but like I got this experience from you, man. I don't know. I'm just weird. But anyways, so I remember finding you on YouTube, and then we got to meet at Phoenix Comic Con, and your booth, man, you've got the most amazing setup. You're not doing so much tabling anymore, right?
No, not really. I've kind of I noticed I started getting into doing other stuff like creating digital products and things. And I realized that the amount of effort and everything that went into at least the way I was doing it, tabling and cons and things like that. Because I would, like you said, I kind of went overboard a little